Hello, Crafty Crandall here, and today I want to talk about my unpopular book opinions. This tag was made by The Book Archer. I will link their original tag video down below so that you can go watch that as well. And without any further ado, let's get into the questions. The first question of this tag is to list a popular book that you did not like. This can be a book or a series. Now, I have talked about all of these on my channel before, but I'm going to quickly list 3 books that I think are very popular that I personally didn't like. And the first book in that list is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I recently read this book and was thoroughly disappointed, thinking that Naomi Novik was an author that I would enjoy, as she had other really well-loved fantasy novels, and so I thought that I would enjoy A Deadly Education, but truly I just did not. Another book that kind of falls into this category is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. Again, I had read Vicious, enjoyed it fairly well, and then got to Vengeful and just, I couldn't even finish the book. It was terrible. I didn't like how the plot went, and although I love Victoria Schwab's, other books, I could not read that one. And then finally, just because this book will continually come up throughout this tag, I also wanted to mention Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. I enjoyed The Hunger Games, and then Catching Fire was just a book that I could not gel with. The next question is a popular book or series that people seem to hate, but you love. Now, I had a really hard time answering this question because I tend to read books that people recommend. I don't go into them thinking, gosh, I'm gonna hate this. And I don't read books that other people have hated because I would find that to be a waste of time, even though, sure, there could be some hidden gems in there. So what I did was I went to my Goodreads and I sorted them by average rating, high to low, and the lowest rated books on that list were The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, which I find shocking, and we'll talk about it in a second, but the other book was The Word is Murder by Anthony Horowitz. So those 2 books, I suppose, would be 2 books that people hate, even though I don't think that they actually hate them. It's just that they had a much lower average rating than something that was, really well loved in general by the book community. I think that The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was a pretty polarizing book. You either loved it or you hated it. I personally loved it. I thought it was fantastic, and it's interesting that I didn't like Catching Fire as much as I didn't like it, because I really loved The Songbird of I really loved The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So it's just interesting how I can continue with the series and find it much better now than I did back then. As far as The Word is Murder is concerned, I feel like people wouldn't like that book because of how it's written and the tone of the book. I could totally see how that would be, again, a love it or you hate it kind of thing, because Anthony Horowitz is telling the story from basically his own perspective. So it was an extremely interesting book. I absolutely loved that book, and I would highly recommend that you go read it. The next question is a love triangle where the main character ended up with the person that you did not want them to. So again, I had a hard time coming up with this just because I don't read a ton of books with love triangles in them. And more often than not, if I do read a book with a love triangle, the main character does end up with the person that I think they should end up with, or that, the story really makes you believe that they should end up with. There is one specific example that I can recall, and this was only true of the first 3 or so books in this series, and that is the Throne of Glass series. At the beginning, I really thought that Selena or Aelin should end up with Chaol, which I know is ridiculous now. Thank God Chaol ended up with Nesrin and actually had a good relationship, because Aelin was a terrible character and he was the best character. But in the beginning, I did feel like they should have been together, and I totally shipped them, and now I don't, but that would be one instance in which I thought the main character made the wrong choice. Which, I mean, she did, because she's a terrible person, but it was good for Chaol that she did. The next question is a popular book genre that you don't typically reach for, and I've got a few for this. I don't really like urban fantasy a ton. I have obviously read it several times. I've got several books that I would consider to be urban fantasy that I really like. The Darker Shade of Magic series is an example of that. I think that was extremely well done and very interesting, but typically I tend to stay away from urban fantasy. Another genre is historical fantasy. I am not a history person. I will never be a history person. History is just not my thing. So I do not like historical fantasy or historical fiction or anything of the sort. And then mystery thriller. So I've read a couple of thrillers that I did enjoy. And I don't know if you would classify Recursion and Dark Matter in that category or not, but those were pretty good. And I think I've read one other book, and I'm blanking on the author, I apologize, but it was a really good thriller, mystery thriller novel. Though actually, the word is murder is kind of a mystery in and of itself, but it's not really a thriller. So I would have to say, like, specifically the thriller-based mysteries would be the ones that I would shy away from. If it's just a regular mystery with, like, your normal fictional plot, that I can handle and that I enjoy, but I don't like being scared. I'm kind of a wimp. I will never read horror, ever. I don't watch scary movies, so that is one genre that, like, nope, can't do it. The next question is a popular or beloved character that you hate. This one was pretty easy. Ronald Weasley. I don't like him. He was a terrible character. I can't believe that Hermione ends up with him. Like, nope. Nope. He's not an intellectual. He is just really, really hard to read. I absolutely despise his, like, his lack of ambition, his lack of purpose. It drives me nuts. I don't like Ronald Weasley as a character. The next question is a popular author that you just can't seem to get into. I've got many authors for this. Naomi Novik apparently is the top of that list, as we've already mentioned. The other authors that I would consider this to be in this category would be Marissa Meyer. I did not like the Cinder or Luna Chronicle series. I read 2 or 3 of them and I didn't like them. Although I do want to give her another chance to see if it was just that series that I didn't like or if it's her writing style and that sort of thing. So I would be willing to give Marissa Meyer another chance. The next author on this list is Neal Shusterman. Again, similar story. Scythe was okay, but I've tried to read several other of his novels, like Unwind, and one other one, and they're just not that good. Like, I wish that they were better, because I think that his ideas have so much potential, and his ideas are so interesting, and his plot lines are just really good, and then the story falls on his face. The story is flat. I can't get into the story, like, itself. I can get into the idea, I can get immersed in, like, the world, and then I'm reading and I'm like, are we ever going to get to a point here, sir? So Neal Shusterman is on that list. And then the last 2 would be Cassandra Clare and Holly Black. I've read both of these authors previously, and they've just come out with, like, so many different books and series that I just have no interest in reading. So those would definitely be on this list as well. The next question is a popular book trope that you are tired of seeing. I can't think of a specific trope that I am tired of seeing. I would say, though, that I would really, really like, and I mentioned this in another video, so I'm not gonna go into, like, tons of detail here, but I am so, like, interested in reading a book where the villain wins. I hate the fact that the hero of the story always wins. I understand that they go through, like, trials and tribulations, and over the course of, you know, being the hero, they might actually, you know, come into a more villainous or mischievous aspect of themselves to actually get where they're going. But overall, you never see, like, the antagonist of the story win, and it drives me nuts. I would really like to read a book wherein that happens. So please, I beg of you, if you've read a book like that, leave it in the comments below. or DM me on Instagram if you prefer. Just let me know what these books are because I need to read them. The next question is a popular book or series that you have no interest in reading. I have a couple of answers for this question. The first two were series that were more popular maybe like a year or two ago, and so I don't know that you would necessarily say that they are the most popular series anymore. But that would be the Three Dark Crowns series by Kendara Blake. I had no interest in reading it when it first came out and have no interest in reading it now. And then the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard. I think it's Victoria Aveyard. But that series as well, same story, didn't have any interest when it came out. People seems to love it. And then, the series continued, and I think that people became, disenamored with it. So, and I believe that is also true of the Three Dark Crown series, although I'm not positive because I didn't hear anything about the latest release in that series. Like, everyone put it on their TBR, and then nobody seems to review it. So I get the feeling that that one kind of was a flop as well. But both of those series would be series that I have no interest in reading. Two far more popular series that I also have no interest in reading would be the Lord of the Rings series. Now, I will admit, I saw the movies like 10, 15 years ago. Don't really remember them at all and have absolutely no interest in reading those books. I didn't like the plotline, I didn't like the movies, so I'm not going to read the books. And then the other series that I have no interest in reading or watching is Game of Thrones. I just don't care. Everyone goes on and on about what a good series that is, and it just doesn't sound that interesting to me, so I'm not going to read or watch it. And then the last question on this list, kind of pertaining similarly to those last two book to movie adaptations, is the saying goes that the book is always better than the movie. What is one movie or TV show adaptation that you actually liked better than the book? And for this, I would have to say 100% The Hunger Games. I actually enjoyed some of the characterizations in the movies. Finnick was a really fun character. And Effie was a fun character, but I didn't like them in the books. So I feel like watching their characters be portrayed and really have, a more distinct feel to them. And reading them in the books, they didn't feel like important side characters. But watching them in the movies, they did feel like important side characters, and I actually grew to like them as characters. So that's why I really liked the whole Hunger Games series a lot more as a movie than as a book. It was just better in my opinion. And there you have it, guys. There is my Unpopular Opinions book tag. I really appreciate you guys watching. Let me know down below in the comments what unpopular opinions you have. And again, recommend me books where the villain wins. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Like this video, subscribe down below. Bye!